learned a lot of useful and interesting stuff in this lesson. We've learned how to copy spreadsheet formulas, which is really critical to setting up powerful spreadsheets. We've learned about VLOOKUPs, among other things. So let's put those two concepts together to solve a really interesting problem. Predicting the future age distribution of the U.S. population. Now, we need some data here, and we need some assumptions. So the data I could find on the government site was in 5-year buckets, how many people in 2015 the U.S. had. Okay, this is in thousands of people. So there were 10,273,000 males, 0 to 4 years old, and 9,837,000 women that age. So we have 5-year buckets. It cuts off 85 years old and older is lumped together. And we also, unfortunately, need death rates for each age, which they have for up to 119-year-olds. So unfortunately, I'll assume everybody who's 119 years old in a year dies the next year. And then we need to know the birth rate, of course. Well, the government assumes women are childbearing if they're age 15 to 44. And of course, at different ages, they're more or less likely to give birth, but I don't have that information, so I'll assume it's the same. So the birth rate is 60 per 1,000 women, or 0.06 per woman of childbearing age. And again, I'll assume, so I can have a distribution to start, let's say in 2015, of how many people of each age. I'll just assume, for instance, for 0 to 4-year-olds, it's equal 0-year-olds, 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, etc. 5 to 9-year-olds, it's equal 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, etc. And everybody 85 or over, I'll assume is equal, which I know is wrong, but I didn't have any data to help me solve that problem. So I'm making some simplifying assumptions, okay, which we'll often have to do in model building. So basically, how do I get how many men and women to start my model with in 2015, and I'll roll it forward, let's say, through 2026? VLOOKUP. So how many men are there of each age? I do a VLOOKUP, okay, find the age and approximate match, which we learned about in column I. Go to the 5th column, and I get the number of men, because that would be, okay, I, J, K, right there is the number of men, column M. And for women, I do a VLOOKUP like that and go to the 7th column, because if you look here, we've got that's column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Column 5 has the men, column 7 has the women. Okay, so you can see 0 to 4, we've got the same number of women and the same number of men. 5 to 9, it switches. 10 to 14, it switches, etc. Okay, so we've got our starting point. Now, 2015, our age distribution, how do we roll forward? Well, for instance, how many 51-year-old men would there be in 2021? Well, how can you be a 51-year-old man in 2021? Well, you'd have to be 50 in 2020 and not die. So basically, I'd have to take 1 minus the death rate for that age. How many 0-year-old males or females? I'll assume they're equal. Okay. You just take half the birth rate, which in our case would be half of 0.06. All these numbers are in thousands. Okay. And then you multiply by the women of birth age in 2020. Okay. So that says roughly 1 out of 16 women in the childbearing age will have a child, and half of those will be male and half of those will be female. And the copy command lets us roll forward. Okay, so let's look at how this goes. So we got to have a row for childbearing age women, okay? And that simply adds up from row 48, the 15-year-olds, to row 77, the 44-year-olds. Row 48, row 177. So that's my childbearing women, and I can copy that across, okay? Now here I just copied down from column G the number of women of each age. And then when I get to the men, I copied it from column F, because I've already got that from the VLOOKUP. Start that right there. How do we roll forward? Well, let's just focus on the women. The men are really exactly similar. How many women of age 0 will there be in 2016? Well, you would take half the birth rate, okay, times the women of childbearing age. So basically, if you think about this, 1 out of 16 women will give birth. That's about 4 million here, or 4,000 in our units here. Okay, and half of those will be men, half of those will be women. So that makes sense. It's around 2,000. Now, how many for instance, 1-year-old women would there be in 2016? Well, you take the number of 0-year-old women times 1 minus the death rate for 0-year-old women. And I've got a $sign the E, so that would copy across and pick it off. And then basically just copying that down for all the women in across, I will now have the number of women of each age. See, the copy command is so powerful. I've got, thousands of formulas in this spreadsheet, over 100 ages here, and basically 10 years. And then I have it for men and women. So, for example, if I look for men here, now 119, I assume basically they just die off. Okay, you're going to get, the 119-year-olds don't get to be 120, unfortunately, tragically. Okay, but to get 119-year-old women here, there won't be very many because the death rate is unfortunately very high at that age. I would take the number of 118-year-olds times 1 minus the death rate. Now for men here, okay, the death rate comes from column D. I have to make that adjustment. But then I can roll this across, and then I basically have a projection on U.S. population. Again, no immigration here. But with 308 million, I would project we'd have 319 million. And I would know how many of each age, which would be critical for predicting our Medicare, Medicare will have to spend in Social Security. And you can be sure the federal government has models like this, and they're probably projecting the death rate will decline over time because that's what it's done. And when we look at it that way, we can probably see that we have underfunded a lot of pension obligations and Social Security and Medicare, which is a big issue in our country.
Okay, so thanks for watching, and there's a free course, a free 21-day course from Dr. Winston, and all of these videos are coming from one of 3 books. So first, this one, which you can see here at the top of the screen, Microsoft's book, which has 355 reviews, and then it's, 4.6 stars. It's coming from this book as well, his marketing analytics book, which is down here, and you can sort of see 4.5, or his newest book, his analytics stories book, which is here. And with that one, you can see it's 4 point something, or maybe even 5. I don't think it's 5. Yeah, 4.8. And so, yeah, anyways, in the description, there's a free 21-day course from Dr. Winston, or you can go to excelwithwayne.com/free, and it'll be there. But again, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just please let us know. Thanks.